the match between Germany and Canada. We're just gonna go ahead and get right into this. I'll make it a bit larger so you can see what's going on. Quick look at the lists. We have Gomeso jumping in for Shiba Inu, playing Phoenix. Pretty standard Phoenix list, nothing out of the ordinary. And we have Nivek playing Crane. Is also a pretty standard Crane, taking full advantage of the Seeker of Fire, Feast or Famine, and Majesty Station for this game. Keep in mind that at this point, Feast or Famine is still not on the restricted list. So, wow, that's a very quick pass from the Crane player, from Nivek. We see a double 5-bid. They're going fast and furious here, both players. So, the Phoenix player has started with a Solemn Scholar and an Ethereal Dreamer, both with 1 fate. And the Ethereal Dreamer will become big during the Earth Ring. Of course, that makes a lot of sense, since then you could potentially have the Solemn Scholar online to bow out attackers and all that nonsense. Let me just check something quickly. We should be live. Yes, we are indeed live. Cool. So, he walks in and immediately finds Magistrate Station. Now, he really wants to break this province, otherwise he's going to be in a lot of trouble. Having this revealed early on would potentially give Crane a lot of juice for coming conflicts. Majesty Station, of course, is choose a honored character, ready that character. That is a very strong ability, especially for Crane that has the Way of the Crane that can just honor a friendly character at will. We see a Murmoto's Fury coming down from Nivek here, the first action to bow out the Ethereal Dreamer. So we have currently no defenders and a bowed attacker. And in response to this, we see an Against the Waves played, so now we do have the Ethereal Dreamer standing again. Now he's going to have to take something from the Crane player here to both prevent a win and a break of Majesty Station. We see a Steward of the Law come out. I imagine we're going to see a For Shame followed quickly. That is, of course, the classic Crane combo. Every time you see a Steward of the Law, you're except in this situation, it gets Cloud the Mind attached to it instantly. So now the Crane player actually has to have a Let Go as well in order to bow out this Ethereal Dreamer cheaply. Steward of the Law obviously says, while this character is participating in a conflict, characters cannot become dishonored, which essentially means that For Shame becomes a 0-cost bow a target character event, which is really good. However, the Phoenix player is no longer breaking Magistrate Station. I imagine he will try and make that happen. So perhaps the Crane player will just try and bait him into forcing more cards out of the hand. We do see a Goblin Sneak stealing the last fate from the Phoenix player. And in response to this, a Fine Katana comes down. And that's the assassination. So now there's basically no way the Phoenix player can win this conflict anymore. He can move in the Solemn Scholar, but that would be still very risky. Like a single card from the Crane player here could put him above in military skill, and even a For Shame is actually going to put him above, because even if he dishonors, that's going to remove 1 skill from the Solemn Scholar. So it looks like the Crane player is just gonna take this Earthring on defense. And 1 Cloud of Mind is already wasted on this Steward of the Law, which is going to be feeling pretty good for the Crane player. I mean, sure, it sucks a bit not to have the easy for shame combo, but also you got rid of a Cloud of Mind that could have gone on a much more important target than a Steward of the Law. Alright, so we did actually see favorable ground to move in the Solemn Scholar. And that means that the Phoenix player did win the conflict. He did not break, but he did win. And the Way of the Crane got randomly discarded from the Crane player. And he's down to 4 cards now, which is a bit rough in this situation, honestly. The Phoenix player, of course, has the Solemn Scholar online now, so he can use the action to just bow an attacking character at any point. I imagine he's going to save that for the political conflict. Yeah, he just saves it because he's okay with just removing a fate from the Goblin Sneak and then letting him grab the ring. And the Phoenix player is of course forced to pass his second conflict. He has no ready characters and he has no fate to bring in another character with. And now we're going to see the Doji Whisperer attack on Meditations on the Tau. And in my opinion, you should probably just bow it straight away, because that will force him to play more cards. If he passed the first thing that happens, that would just mean he gets to take the ring on challenge. Now he forces the Crane to do something in order to get the ring. If he has another Way of the Crane, that could actually mean he breaks here. He waits of the Crane and then Magistrate Station, and he has a well, it appears he does not have another Way of the Crane, which would be pretty. I mean, that would be a pretty bomb hand from the Crane player. After the round, we see that the Crane player is ahead on board, slightly down on honor. He has the most important province flipped, but not broken, which is exactly what you want as the Crane player here. I think the Crane is in a very decent position right now. He is down on cards, 4 to 8, which is a quite significant amount. So we're going to have to see what can be done here. Of course, this Forgotten Library will keep giving extra card advantage to the Phoenix player over the turn of the game. I could actually see the Phoenix player drop his bid to like a 3 this turn, and then starting to put on some real honor pressure on the Crane. Because we do already see a Way of the Crane gone. That's like an easy honor effect gone. That means he's probably gonna be gaining less honor over the course of the game than normal. It's going to be interesting for sure. That's not exactly what you want to see here as the Phoenix player. That is a bit rough. One very high cost character, one low. I mean, you would probably want 2 lower cost characters for this turn to play out and have a board. Ooh, this is actually pretty rough for the Phoenix player. I imagine he's going to play a Sakusuki and then be forced to see the Crane player get a passing fate here, which you do not really like here, because the Crane player is now building a pretty amazing board. If I'm completely honest, this Doji Hotaru is going to be around for several turns. It's going to be really strong. Alright. Oh, that's a really aggressive bid. Right. I said the Phoenix player would probably drop his bid to a 3 here, but he now drops it all the way down to a 1. So the honor pressure is on. If the Crane player hasn't found like some way to... You know what? I'm going to take that back, because what's probably going to happen if the Crane player feels like he's in trouble here, he's probably just going to go Hotaru, political, air, and go back up to 8 honor and be perfectly fine. It's an okay ring to claim in this situation because it has a fate on it, and you just pull yourself out of this hole you kind of dug yourself into here. So I do imagine that's actually something we're going to see at some point. The Hotaru attacking air and just double triggering it. Maybe not this turn, perhaps not even next turn, but once that happens, like the honor pressure is completely gone. The Crane has just completely gotten back the card deficit for basically nothing. Okay, so we see Student of Law attack onto Meditation on Tao, and we see instantly a Shrine Maiden dropped as defense, revealing double Supernatural Storm and a Let Go. So he gets to grab 2 Supernatural Storms to his hand, which is going to be feeling pretty great, I imagine. It sucks a bit getting a Let Go discarded, but I don't think the Crane run too many high impact attachments. I'm actually gonna check that really quickly. So the Crane list is, yeah, basically no impactful attachments. Which means you're not too sad about that happening. Alright, so we do see a For Shame play to dishonor the Shrine Maiden. This implies to me that either Nivek has forgot that he has a Cloud of Mind on the Steward of the Law, or he has a second For Shame, which he does. He has a double For Shame. Alright, this Shrine Maiden is bowed. And that means the Crane player is winning this conflict. Kind of expensive in my honest opinion, but it is what it is. This firing will most likely honor Hotaru, and then it's just full steam ahead, political conflicts, break everything, and that's going to be pretty rough on the Phoenix player. The Phoenix player will probably attack military water with Suki. That way... Oh, never mind, we're still in this conflict. Alright, so the Tattooed Wanderer comes down. So currently the defender is winning this firing. And we do see a Banzai now from... Ooh. Okay, that is actually pretty spicy. We see a Banzai onto the Steward of the Law, which means that he goes down to 3 honor. He must kind of be banking on Hotaru being able to double trigger a very significant ring this turn. Probably really wants to double trigger the air ring. I would definitely go for the double trigger on the air ring here. Alright, and oh, yeah, that's the thing. So we do see the favorable ground used to pull the Tattooed Wanderer out. The Meditations on the Tau is breaking. This means I'm pretty much certain that there will be a military water ring with this Tattooed Wanderer. Yes, and it is, and it's going on to Magistrate Station. This puts the Crane player in sort of like a little bit of a pickle. I think he should probably defend with Hotaru and then use Magistrate Station to ready her afterwards. That seems like a solid plan here. It's not too much in the way of pumps he can use. Oh, of course, Ningyos. Many Ningyos. The fish boy comes down from his hand and brought into the conflict. A potent character and a fine katana. He is going for the win here. He's going to try and break this. How much do we actually have to expend to break in this situation? He's going to have to... he has another Supernatural Storm in his hand. That's going to be +1, and then he can use the Stronghold to use 1 from his discard. That's going to be +2. That is exact right amount to break. If he manages to break this province, I think he's in a really good position. Of course, you could always move out Hotaru, but then you're in a situation where you actually... he could have moved out Hotaru, but then he's in a situation where he'll lose 1 honor for unopposed, which is not great. Alright, and we do see the Let Go to discard the Fine Katana on the Ningyo, which is super good for the Crane player here. He saves the Magistrate Station. So Magistrate Station gets used to ready Hotaru. I imagine we're going to see the air ring now with Hotaru going, I don't know, on Tadaka? Yeah, that seems like a decent situation to go. Get rid of Tadaka. Not allow him to get in play for next turn. And it's a Fertile Fields. That's not too bad a province to hit. Alright, so we have 9 against 4. We have 9 against 4, and the first action is Cloud the Mine on Hotaru, so he's not going to get to double trigger air. That is rough, but not awful. He still gets to trigger air and gain 2 honor at least, which puts him sort of out of the dishonor hole in a way. Of course, double triggering air here would have been fantastic, but you can't have everything. And we do see a couple of things. We see an Ornate Fan come down on the Suki, and we see an Ornate Fan come down on the Hotaru, so breaking is on again. And court games to dishonor Hotaru, and then we see a court games to re-honor Hotaru. Like, court games is usually joked as being, oh, the effect of court games is force your opponent to discard court games from his hand, because almost always court games is followed by a counter court games. It's just what it is. And that is Fertile Fields broken, that is Tadaka discarded, and that is 2 honor gained for the Crane player. Does the Phoenix player have more things to... Oh, we do see a Against the Waves to ready Suki. So that's 2 Against the Waves played. So I'm guessing this is going to be an Earth Ring. I think Earth Ring is probably the most impactful ring here. I guess not. I guess we're going to see Void. Okay. Both are perfectly fine in this situation. I do feel that the Earth Ring has a more immediate impact on the game, because you get to draw an extra card and you discard a card from your opponent, so it's basically going to come down to board then. But of course this is also sort of like killing off the board a bit quicker for the opponent, which is something you desperately need in this situation, because an honored Hotaru is massive. I think the Crane player probably can only stop this if he has a political rival in hand. And he does! So a political rival comes down and defends. Alright, I don't necessarily agree with putting 1 fate on this political rival, because that just means that's 1 fate wasted. He's going to lose that due to the Void Ring. Yeah. The political rival just goes away now. I guess it saves Hotaru from getting off the board. I don't know if that investment is worth it or not. It's hard to tell at this point. It's perfectly possible that it will be the best way to do it. Oh, and we see a 3rd Against the Waves played to ready Suki again, just to steal the favor. Otherwise the favor would have been a push again. Okay. So I'd still say that the Crane player is definitely ahead on board at this point. The Phoenix player does have a slight economic edge here, and well, the Phoenix has the ability to bid high this turn to sort of like gain a hand advantage as well, but of course he completely gives up the honor pressure. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Does the Crane player keep anything here? I think you probably get rid of Narishma. Favorable ground is probably okay to keep. Oh, okay. I apparently have no clue about playing Crane, because he gets rid of the Challenger, which I thought was a sure way to keep. Of course, he is low on funds, so maybe he's trying to find something a bit cheaper to perhaps get out. A Brass Samurai is a fantastic buy here. The problem is Guest of Honor is also a fantastic buy here. Maybe slightly less fantastic against Yuona, but we have seen Double Cloud already, have we not? Yes, so there's not too many air spells left for the Phoenix player. I'm just gonna quickly switch over to their deck lists and make sure to see how many air spells the Phoenix player runs. And it appears here he runs Cloud the Mind, and that's it. That's all the air spells. So I don't think this Yona is going to do much, in my humble opinion. If he does have the last Cloud of Mine, that could be pretty impactful. Do you buy anything else here as the Crane player? I'm not sure. Maybe we just turtle up a little bit this turn and you go for like a big push next turn. I think you can win all conflicts on defense this turn as the Crane player. But of course then you're not going for the break, for more breaks. It's a bit of a interesting situation here, because you can definitely 100% just turtle this round. Oh, yeah, you can still do it. You can still turtle this round for sure. That's a ballsy bid from the Crane player. The Crane player bids 5 on 5 honor. Wow, that is a mega ballsy play. So the correct read here from the Crane player, figuring out that the Phoenix player is just gonna try and push hand advantage this turn, and he bids 5 with only 5 honor, and the Phoenix player correctly, he guessed correctly, the Phoenix player also bid 5, so no honor is exchanged, and both hand sizes are now up by a lot. That is really interesting. That is actually really ballsy. Me personally, as a Crane player here, I might have bid like a 3 or 4 just to be safe, but apparently Nivek is just, nah, I know this guy is going to bid 5, I'm also going to bid 5, and then I'm gonna bury him. That is some clutch play in my opinion. Okay. Advent of the Waves grants Covert to Asakosuki. I imagine Covert is going to go down now onto the favorable ground. Actually, with this, he's trying to kill off favorable ground so that he can Covert Hotaru and then break the Magistrate Station. Ooh, interesting. Very interesting. Alright, so are we going to see the Covert being used for this conflict or not? It looks like, yeah. So I imagine what's going to happen is probably he's just going to favorable ground in Hotaru, defend, win, and then ready Hotaru up again with Magistrate Station. I think that's a reasonable assumption of what's going to go down here. It appears that the Phoenix player has a bit of trouble deciding exactly how he wants to play this round. I don't blame him. This is a pretty intimidating board to be up against, especially when the favorable ground is there and basically protecting against Covert. If he didn't have the favorable ground, I think he pretty much guaranteed breaks this Magistrate Station this turn. Alright, so first action is indeed to move Doji Hotaru in. And we see a court games to dishonor Hotaru. Are we going to see another court games from the Crane player? Or perhaps even a Way of the Crane? And there we have the court games from the Crane player. So once again, court games is basically force your opponent to discard court games from their hand. And in response to this, Feral Ningyo comes down. And in this situation, we have 1, 2, 3 Shigenias on the board. So Supernatural Storm is actually plus 3 in this situation. And that is enough to win, but not break. So I imagine we're probably going to see the Stronghold used here. Perhaps even in combination with Clarity of Purpose. We see Let Go to bring down the Ornate Fan, to actually not bring down, to remove the Ornate Fan from Doji Hotaru. Now the Phoenix player is winning this conflict, and the Crane player passes, and now he's using Supernatural Storm from his discard pile to bring him up to exactly breaking. So the Crane player has to have, for shame, another fan, a let go, or a political rival. Or why the hell not? Political rival comes in, and he is now up by 3 in his conflict. It is no longer looking great for the Phoenix player. Of course, he could have a single Cloud the Mind left that could have bowed out his political rival, but alas, he do not have it. He plays Clarity of Purpose to prevent Suki from bowing, and it's basically going to be a situation where neither Suki nor Hotaru really bows out after this conflict, because Majesty Station is going to ready Hotaru. Now the question is, do you attack here with... Hang on, why is the Adept of the Waves still standing? Oh, because it wasn't in the conflict, it was a... right, a Feral Ningyu was in the conflict. Okay. So the Phoenix player actually has enough force on the board here to defend against Hotaru attacking politically, which is interesting. I didn't think that was going to happen, I'm going to be completely honest. I imagine the Crane player is probably going to push an attack with Brash Samurai here. Maybe, I don't know, Earth for the Fate. That would be nice. Maybe Void to try and remove Suki or Yuona. Both of them perfectly valid options. I can't really see him going for air here. I can see him going for basically Earth, more for the Fate than anything else, or the Void here to try and remove board. But since he's going for Earth here, he is not confident he can actually win this conflict. Because he's not confident he can actually win this conflict, he goes in with something that gives him a benefit just for going in with it. In my opinion, at least. Maybe he has a different agenda going on in his mind, but I think that's reasonable to assume here. He's just trying to force a defense from the Phoenix player here at this point, and sort of like trying to force as much response as he possibly can. Oh, and he does force a pretty large response actually. We see both Adept of the Waves and Suki defending. That means the last attack, which is going to be militarily, is going to be pretty weak from the Phoenix player. Which is really good actually for the Crane player here. The Crane player might even let the attack... No, you can't let Majesty Station break, it's too much value. So he's probably... Oh, but... Does he think the last card in the Phoenix player's hand is a military pump of some kind? Now, that's an interesting situation. Because you could let this conflict go, allow him to attack with Yuona, which is currently not breaking. He needs to have something with his last card that would put him up to breaking. Tricky situation. I think it depends a little bit on what a Crane player has in hand here. Yeah, the Crane player does not defend. It could even be, with one cost, it could even be another Fury. Another Fury. Oh, no, a Steward of the Law. Okay. There has been exactly one opportunity for the Crane player to use the Crane Stronghold, and that was during the first conflict, and it wasn't used in the end. I imagine it was to sort of like force this situation. Alright, so Hotaru goes in with 9 skill against 4 skill. Actually 5. So 9 against 5. Exactly breaking currently. So, yet again, the Crane player is forcing the Phoenix player to have something to prevent this from breaking. Oh wow, and we did not see Manicured Guardians used to gain Fate until now. That's interesting. Alright, so Doji Hotaru moves in on Manicured Guardians. I think Manicured Guardians is going to break here, and it is going to break. And that means there's going to be a push for favor, and Sakosuke gets removed, which means the Phoenix board is going to be a lot less intimidating for next turn. In fact, the Phoenix board is going to be pretty much non-existent. And I'm going to take a very quick peek at what the Phoenix player uses under the stronghold. So I'm going to switch over to that tab quickly and just have a look. And it looks like it's Kuroi Mori on the stronghold. Okay, so he has a very decent chance to still hold on for next turn. Okay. So, I imagine what we're going to see here from the Crane player is buying Guest of Honor, going all in on the Phoenix Stronghold, which is going to be Kuromori, and then just hoping that the Phoenix player does not have enough skill to prevent the break. And the good thing here for the Phoenix player is that he does have a favorable ground, so whatever gets converted can still be moved in, which is really interesting. I imagine there might be, okay, so here's what I imagine is going to be happening. Everything from the Crane player is going to be moving in politically, and you convert the Yojimbo. That means the Phoenix player has to choose either to defend with the Yuona or the Yojimbo via the favorable ground. And that means he will probably switch this to militarily, but militarily he has, so let's see, 6, 4, 11 against, I guess, 1, 2, 5. So that means the Phoenix player still needs to find a buff of some sort, and he basically needs to find the Lost Supernatural Storm. So, okay, the Ethereal Dreamer gives himself extra strength during the air conflict, so that's basically off the table. The Crane player can't really go air here, because that just gives Ethereal Dreamer extra stats. Do you? Oh, okay, so we just do a poke. Kuromori attacks with Brash Samurai. So this is a military conflict on Kuromori. I think the idea here is to present a credible enough threat that you want to force Kuromori to be used. The let's see, the Phoenix Ray still has 1 fate, so he can just attack poke with something and then ready something big for defense again with against the waves from the discard. Still 3 against the waves in the discard. And a Clarity of Purpose can also be used from the discard. Oh, that's ballsy. So the Phoenix player does not defend the conflict. That means the Crane player just need to attach a katana to be breaking here. And he instantly play. Okay, all right, makes sense. Cloud of Mind gets played to blank Guest of Honor, and that means Yuona can bow the Brash Samurai. That's the last Cloud of Mind. There's going to be no more Cloud of Mind in this game. Do you use Majesty Station here to ready up the Brash Samurai? That is an interesting question. Yes, the Crane player does do that. So, Brash Samurai is ready. Brash Samurai is going in for the break. He just needs a katana or a banzai. Something, and he will be breaking. That will for... Yeah, Katana, I imagine we're going to see the favorable ground go now and probably move in. Yeah, Shiba Yojimbo. So, it is not currently breaking. Are we going to see a Banzai get played here? As a bit of a risky move. Oh, and a mid defeat! And mid defeat gets played, so it's currently breaking still. He's actually going to force Kuromori to be spent. Oh, that is so bad, because that means the political conflict is going to go in unchallenged afterwards. Whew. What can you do to stop this as the Phoenix player? Ah, there you go. You switch the conflict type. Okay. So, it is now a political conflict. He is no longer breaking. This means that he can probably just let this conflict go. Like, he can just not defend this conflict and then go in everything with his political and just smash Kuromori completely. Yeah, even if the Phoenix player goes air here, he'll drop him down to 1 honor. I don't think the Phoenix player had any way to remove the last honor. It was Dragon Splash, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so there's no easy way to just siphon off that last little bit of honor. I don't think it's going to be possible here, so I think it's just going to let this conflict go. I don't think it's going to care. It's going to be rough to be down to 1 honor, but I honestly don't think there's anything in the... I don't think there's anything he can do here that will force the Crane player to defend. Does the Phoenix player have anything to like double a ring, double trigger a ring? I don't think so. If there are any Phoenix players in chat, if there's anything I'm missing, just please let me know. But I don't think you should defend here as the Crane player. And he doesn't do it either. So, this is going to be a huge political conflict, and he's going to convert Suki. Wow. And that is just going to be a massive amount of political skill coming in and slamming down hard on Kuromori. And the Phoenix player only has 1 fate left to defend with. That is going to be extremely rough. This is going to be Crane, the political powerhouse, going in unchallenged on the stronghold, Kuromori, and just bringing down the hammer on the poor Phoenix player. Is he not going to bring the political rival? Okay, that is borderline ballsy. If he doesn't bring, just bring the political rival. Yeah, just convert the Suki. He has no defenders. Yeah, exactly. This is 16 political skill going in on Kuromori. There's no defenders allowed from the Phoenix player. The Phoenix player cannot move in Asako Suki. The Phoenix player has to be playing completely from hand with a hand size of 4 and with only 1 fate to stop this monstrous political attack from the Crane player. Even if he could defend with Asako Suki, he would probably just get bowed instantly by the Crane stronghold here. Like, even if he somehow survives and can attack with Asako Suki, he will get bowed by the Crane stronghold. Of course, he will win because unopposed and political favor will... yeah, but it is, in fact, good game being called, because there is no way the Phoenix player can stop the marching of the Crane. And I guess that's congratulations to Canada, who I think that means they tie up this series 1-1. So, Crane smashed the Phoenix in a very exciting final conflict here. Thanks everyone that... I think Game 3 is actually beginning like right now. It's a Scorpion Mirror. Um, Game 3 should be like any if it hasn't already begun, it should be like any moment. Uh, so I'm just going to cut the stream here and say thank you so much everyone that watched. If there is not a stream of the final game between Canada and Germany, I will get on that really shortly. I just need to cut off this stream and then get ready with like change title and some stuff and get the other one up, and we should have the last game um, on the way really soon. So again, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.